Hello, my name is Dan Himes. I'm the founder of Swami. I wanted to share some tips with the students who are forced to finish their semester under the COVID-19 shelter-in-place rules. This is a very challenging situation, but it could be worse. For example, when I was teaching physics at Northern Virginia Community College, I had a student from Nigeria named Lanre. In Nigeria, it was a struggle to even go to school because of all the violence. His school would be shut down for months, but he would get his hands on a textbook and study on his own, because he realized that his education was his only path out. So he worked through it with a solid determination, eventually landing in America, where he could finish. The kicker was, when he got here, he had to prove himself every step of the way, because all the evidence that he even had a high school education was destroyed when his high school burned down. But he did it and moved on to a good career and a good life. If Lanre could get through that, we can get through this. First of all, hopefully your institution is being generous with the pass-fail options. Should you choose pass-fail? It really comes down to two things. One, how you're handling things working from home. And two, whether or not you trust the professor. Has your professor adjusted his or her teaching style? Maybe flipped the classroom so your lectures are more about answering questions or working through examples than a traditional lecture? Or is your professor progressing as if nothing's really changed with a no excuses attitude? Well, if the second is the case, then you may want to be careful, because your fate comes down not just to whether or not you can do it, but whether or not he or she can adapt as well as you can. And let's face it, some professors may suck at adapting to the new situation. We don't know. So my advice would be to trust your gut. There's no shame in opting for pass-fail right now. But if you do choose the pass-fail option, don't make the mistake of thinking you're off the hook and you don't have to study. The reason you're choosing pass-fail is to save you from the possibility that you could study very, very hard, but against such long odds that you might fail anyway, or do poorly. Pass-fail is your safety net. Let's plan to not need it. Now, what can we do to get the best of this situation? Well, first of all, let's acknowledge that some work is hard, like writing or solving problems, and some work is easier, less taxing on the brain. Your brain's only good for about 4 hours a day of the hard stuff. Don't believe me? Look up some of the work schedules of successful writers or thinkers or whatever. They may have worked a full day, but they only spend 4 hours or so pursuing their creative efforts. So plan on limiting yourself to 4 good hours of solid work a day outside of class. Use the other time you need to review or revise, format stuff, things like that. The second point is you're going to need some self-discipline. There are various mind hacks out there for this now. The X effect, which you can find talked about on Reddit, for example. The Pomodoro technique is another one. If you struggle with self-discipline, then try these two. The X effect works like this. You use a calendar, you make one if you have to, and you hang it on your wall or someplace where you can see it. Every day, if you spend a solid 4 hours of hard work, you put a big X in the box for that day. If you don't on a particular day, you don't get the X. What will happen is that you see a string of X's and you'll be motivated to continue so you don't break the string. It's a very simple hack, but it seems to be very powerful. The X effect technique is apparently due to Jerry Seinfeld. It's supposedly the technique he uses to keep himself productive. The Pomodoro technique is a technique where you set a timer for some time interval, the standard time being about 25 minutes, and you work through that 25 minutes without taking a break. At the end of the 25 minutes, you take a 5-minute break. Then you get back to work for another 25. You can, of course, adjust the times to suit yourself and throw in some other breaks in there, and you'll probably find that the time that you work straight increases a bit as you go on. But don't go over 50 minutes. You get less efficient if you go over 50 minutes. And you can look these techniques up on a search engine on the internet and find out more details.
It could work!
Now, it may also help you to put some sort of barrier between you and fun, so that getting distracted takes effort. Third point is that you want to structure your day. Make sure you groom and dress for each day. Now, it doesn't really matter how you dress. Just make sure it's something you do for your classes, a kind of ritual. There's a reason why rituals are in every culture. They're powerful for setting your frame of mind. Next, figure out a way to get some exercise. I know it can be challenging because space might be tight or the weather might be awful. We had snow today. But do something. You can knock out a few push-ups and sit-ups and squats pretty quickly. Doesn't take much room, doesn't make much noise, and if you go quickly enough, you can even get your heart rate up a bit. I'm sure there's a lot of information out there that can help you with that, so find something you like and do it. You don't have to train for the Olympics here, unless, of course, you do have to train for the Olympics. Just keep your body moving. As I'm writing this script, a group just launched a Workout Together app where you synchronize with a YouTube workout video and conference with your friends so you can work out together. If that's the kind of thing you're into, that might be something to check out. Take regular breaks. In my house, we are fortunate enough to have a separate area for everybody to work. And my son, who is also home from college, turned on some very quiet classical music in the common area. Now, he's not a classical music guy. It's nothing like that. But what it did, to my surprise, is it set up a different atmosphere when we enter the area. So when I go out and get a glass of water or something, I get a little break from my working atmosphere. Now, maybe you can't do that, but you could put on some headphones or do something when you leave your working area that gives you kind of a mental break and puts you in a different place. The idea isn't to listen to your favorite brain-melting audio.
Okay, Boomer.
But to listen to something that lets you escape for a few moments. A picture or a poster that you see when you leave your work area might help too. Say, I don't know, of the Caribbean or something. And for the love of all things holy, make a to-do list every day and check off the things you accomplish. You won't believe how much better you'll feel if you do this. If you have a seemingly endless task, like writing a term paper on your to-do list, for a single day, maybe you add a task that says research for 1.5 hours. Try to predefine what a successful outcome looks like. Be specific about what research you're going to have done at the end of that time. The more you can package your work into tight little, well-defined tasks, the easier it will be to plow through them. And as you check those things off, you get the reinforcement that you're making progress. Finally, if you can, have a regular check-in with some people from your classes or your first-year experience group or some other friends from school. Now, make it a professional check-in, okay? Discuss what you're going to do and then check in to report how it went. Get a few people on there. You can express frustrations and fears and concerns and share ideas. But you're sharing about the things that are limiting you and getting in the way of you doing your work, okay? This isn't the same as having a party with your friends, okay? You just want to talk about the things that are blocking you and try to help each other overcome them. This is something that can really help you keep your head in the game in this very weird situation. So stay positive about getting through this. And remember, challenge builds strength.